they can hear us. And we're live on my personal Facebook page, the Hippie Fiasco TV page, Hippie Fiasco YouTube, and Hippie Fiasco Twitch.
Yeah, I'm getting quite a Twitch following.
Yeah, it's a little much, isn't it?
Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't know so many of them were drug addicts.
I don't know if you know, but he's got a T-shirt now since he stands out by the fence all the time. The Twitch kids are wearing those Mr. Moore T-shirts.
All right, now we'll do the opening credits.
Oh, personal call.
Welcome to the show. Dad wanted to hear this song to start us off tonight. Here's hoping they can reach us, you know, life's finest teachers, the ones to show us how to do what must be done. And I don't mean abstractly, I mean matter-of-factly. The nuts and bolts of flying to the sun. But who can show us where to look? How will we know what must be done? I know it's written in a million books, but we can't read every one. Some say God has a plan for every woman, child, and man. Of all the things to think that might be true. And I don't mean abstractly, I mean matter-of-factly. I can't play piano, can you? But who can show us what it meant when first a string tied to a bow? How do we find our instrument? Who knows? Goes.
All right.
We performed all these stunts here at home. Kids, you should try this at home. It's a sort of prayer to get up and go out there, to know your feet can find a sacred path. I don't mean abstractly, I mean matter-of-factly. Once you're on it, you ain't ever looking back. I have no idea how it works from where we get our gifts. But each of us, I'm sure, something nobody else is. You got this, 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 you got this. You got this, 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 you got this. Yeah, welcome to the show.
All right. That's a good stuff.
Thank you. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Nathan Moore, your host. This is my dad, Steve Moore. This is Kyle Hogg. You are watching Jabber Jawn. It's a pleasure to be with you here. We are live on Hippie Fiasco on YouTube and Twitch, on Hippie Fiasco's Facebook page. Dad's getting quite a following on Twitch. He doesn't quite know what to do with himself.
It's pretty exciting. I've never, I'm learning.
Yeah, who saw this coming?
There's a lot out there, and there's so many people I've connected with through Twitch that it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah, thank you for
I'm
hooking
proud
me
of
up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, apparently the when he became a frog on Jabberjawn a few weeks ago, that went viral on Twitch and on the Twitter, and he's just been blowing up ever since. And so we're sort of here with a celebrity, and away we go.
I'm sorry I haven't been able to answer everybody's request. People have been calling, and it's just been it's been hard. I'll tell you the truth, and I wish everybody just stopped calling me.
Right.
If you don't mind.
Right. Just back off a little bit. Give me some space.
Exactly. Let me be myself and not have to answer your questions. I'll try to do what I can do, but maybe we just need another format where I could just have a place that they could ask their questions, and I could.
Maybe Kyle could field them.
Maybe I should just say, well, all right, all you Twitchers, start calling Kyle. For a
Maybe
while.
we might need to get you a body double.
Address to Dear Steve.
How hard would that be?
I don't know.
I haven't seen it.
Have you been following this Damar Hamlin controversy?
No.
You know who I'm talking about?
The football player that almost died?
Right.
I didn't know there was a controversy.
Well, now there's a whole controversy because
why? He didn't
a lot
die?
of people believe that he did die, but that they're covering it up, and that his appearance at the football game on last weekend was a body double, because they never. If you look, it's funny because if you look at the footage that was released, the official footage, it is surreal footage where they never show his face, and it all just seems weird. It doesn't, but. So Twitter just runs with that, like all these people, especially the anti-vax people that are all sort of conspiratorial in nature to begin with. They think that he died because of the vaccine. The NFL is waiting for the season. It's a big cover-up, and you would not believe the amount of people that have subscribed to this theory.
Unbelievable.
Like, why aren't they showing us the real Damar Hamlin?
Oh my gosh, I hadn't heard a thing about that. We must use different news sources.
Right. Well, Twitter is mostly where I'm getting that one from.
Yeah. Well,
But if he did pass away, George Santos is going to take his place, he said.
That's who it probably was, the body double.
Yep.
It's a whole thing.
George Santos in a Buffalo Bills helmet out there. What position do I play?
But there's this whole thing now. There's like a documentary that just came out called Died Suddenly. And there's this whole very prominent people that are endorsing this whole vaccination conspiracy theory. A lot of them deeply believe that the entire pandemic was a plot by the elite of the world to reduce population and gain more control over our privacy and our lives and stuff like that. So they have this very deep conspiracy theory about all this. So Damar Hamlin ties into that directly.
What does the theory say? I mean, they say if you take if you get the shot, get the vaccination, you die.
A lot of people.
But a lot of people are dying. Is there any data to support that?
I really believe it's like it's like that. You start looking for a penny, you start seeing pennies all over the place. I feel like that's the phenomenon, because everyone now is looking for it. It's the internet, so it's so easy to find like footage of people just like passing. What did somebody that died suddenly look like 5 years ago? The same as it looks now. It's just like someone's walking down the street and they fall over, they have a stroke or a heart attack or whatever it is. But now with the internet, people can share all these security footage or like just images from all over the world of people just dying suddenly. So this whole documentary came out called Died Suddenly, and they use statistics like we've discussed to show how there's been this increase and all this stuff. And it's like all conspiracy theories. There's probably a little grain of truth in there that keeps it going forth, and that they probably there probably are more complications with the vaccine than have been admitted to by Pfizer and the people that came out with it. And now they're coming out with studies like not recommending the booster for people over 50 or things like that. Wow. So then the conspiracy theorists are like, see, you know, we told you the whole time. It's just, it's such a fascinating wormhole.
So if you get the vaccine and you die and a body double takes over, is that called sublimation?
You need sound effects, babe. You need that was definitely a sound effects moment.
Yes, it is. Actually, the answer to that is yes.
Wait, go hit the top left button.
Now, you see, the problem here is unless you're a regular viewer, and I would say my Twitchers are the only really regular viewers. I have one regular viewer, Dana.
Oh, nice.
But I bet she's not listening tonight because you didn't put an ad up on mine.
No, I did, but just about an hour ago or so.
Now, do you think people that do this stuff, I mean, it is, even if you don't believe in it, it's fascinating to read, but you think these are just troublemakers or these people that really believe it, or just pranksters that want to get a rise out of people?
I mean, we have a lot of senators now that believe this kind of stuff.
Wow.
So
pranksters, you're saying?
It's interesting how top of the timeline trending on Twitter all these things are, and that yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the QAnon, the Trump crowd, like all that is, it's funny to me because as a sort of leftist, I guess I would just innately be. It was always us old hippies that were the conspiracy theorists. We thought the FBI and the American Medical Association and all that. I mean, to me, it's so surreal now listening to like conservatives talking, sounding like the old hippies I knew in New Mexico. I mean, it's like I was a conspiracy theorist like crazy when I was younger. I didn't think we went to the moon. 9/11 was an inside job. I was like hook, line, and sinker on all this stuff. So I see myself in these things. I'm not as freaked out as other people are. I'm more fascinated, but at the same time, it's super frustrating because I know that mentality, and it can be frustrating because you can't really talk somebody out of it. If you try, you're just part of the lie. You're part of the problem.
Well, if people that could, like, I've read for a little while. I was interested in like Jack the Ripper or John F. Kennedy assassination. You read books. I'm like, so I read that book. That's the truth. You know,
right.
That's it. Then I read the next one. Nope, this is the truth. You know, they can give you the facts. They lead the facts out so, you know, well that you just forget what you read before.
Before the internet, I mean, it was so easy to go down the rabbit hole of a good conspiracy theory because there was no way to get, like, there was a famous book about how we didn't go to the moon, and there was no Google, so I mean, you're not going to meet anybody that's going to have very convincing arguments the other way. Right. And
that's interesting. You should say that because I would think the other thing. I would think the opposite, that the conspiracy theories are enhanced by Google.
Well, that's got to be true, too. Yeah. And the internet being able to...
In other words, no matter what you believe, you can find somebody else that believes it.
Mm-hmm. Flat Earth is a great example of that. Have you heard about that?
No.
That there's a lot of people out there that believe that the Earth is flat.
Well, I've heard of that.
But I think that's 100% an internet phenomenon.
Really?
I don't think that necessarily would have been as strong a contender before the internet. That's a good example of a conspiracy theory that I think the internet... The Sandy Hook was 100% an internet thing. The thing that got Alex Jones in all that trouble for all the people that believe that Sandy Hook was all crisis actors. And did you follow that conspiracy theory at all? They didn't believe it happened, that it was all government...
Yeah, and then that
propaganda.
Guy got fined $1 million or something. And they sued him.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
But I think the internet's been causing more of the problems than solving them for sure.
the died suddenly thing that's going on out there now is definitely being fueled by the internet. Because, like I say, you got security cameras all over the world, and for the first time, when people drop dead in public, it's on a camera somewhere. And if you're looking for that, it's so people just start. Oh, look at this guy on the subway in Tokyo. Look at this guy on, like all over the world. It's just all amassing to seemingly validate this theory that people are suddenly just dying randomly.
Now, did you ever see that show? I can't remember what it was called now. It was Jack Osborne showing ghosts and stuff, and Ozzy and Sharon were sitting there, and he would try to convince them it was real ghosts. Or he would show them a ghost thing, and they would like rate it, and like Ozzy would be like, "No, that's no ghost," Then they'd be like, "Oh, that does scare me." It was the funniest show. Their dogs were like walking
Osborne
around.
ghost hunter stuff.
Well, Jack is like he really believes in ghosts, so he has done gone out and studied ghosts. But it's like they just get YouTube videos or something, And Ozzy didn't really believe in too many of them. It didn't seem like, but.
How about you? Do you believe in ghosts?
I've got a lot of people that I trust and believe that say they've seen ghosts. I mean, I don't disbelieve them, but I don't want to see one. If they're out there, just leave me alone. I don't want to wake up in bed and see you sitting there looking at me.
How about you, Dad?
I don't believe in ghosts. But if I did see a ghost, I think that would be a great thing, because that would mean there's an afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Now, if you saw a ghost, I've always thought about this too. If I saw one, would I go tell anybody, or would I just be like, nobody's going to believe me?
Right.
I would tell everybody I saw. But I'm not well believed anyway.
Wouldn't it sort of redefine your purpose on Earth?
To
If
avoid ghosts as much as you possibly
no,
could.
if you truly experienced, it's like you really had a ghost experience, like a ghost visits you.
But nobody ever has a pleasant ghost experience. I've never heard anybody say it, and we had fun. It was always like they ripped the curtains off the window, and then they shook the dresser, and it's like, it was like, calm down, ghost, calm down, let's be friends.
Right. I've heard some positive ghost stories, like there was one I heard recently, but I can't remember where it was from. But this ghost would play a guitar that was in this like just so you know, there's a ghost, and in the middle of the night it will play that guitar.
Yeah, Jack had a lot like that, like a bar where some old guy that sat at the end of the bar for 70 years still comes back once every month on Thursday and knocks the glass off. They have videos where the glass just falls off the bar.
I mean, come on. You got one of the most famous ghost houses.
I know, right up the street
right
from
up
you.
The street from you. That Selma ghost is legendary, local.
I haven't heard the story of it, but I've heard there is a ghost.
Something about a reappearing blood stain from a Union soldier or something.
Yeah,
that
they
died
wouldn't, because they had turned it into a hospital, I heard, and he was looking for help, and they said, no, you're a Union soldier, so he died. Now he haunts them.
Which brings me, did you get into that book at all?
Oh, I've been in that deep.
Did you?
Yeah,
Tell me a little story.
There's so many things that are fascinating about it, but
Have you?
Through him, he's been reading it and reading some out loud to me and giving
Boy,
me
that's a
updates.
first.
it's right now it's being held prisoner in my bathroom. So she's probably afraid to go get it.
There's ghosts in there.
But it's so many different things. Like even just on our front, like I thought that this house was part of the Belgray estate. Like I had a completely different imagination of what I thought everything was.
Right.
But that was never really an estate. The Belgray was built by a stonemason and his wife. They had no kids. It was a couple built that huge It's like one of the biggest houses I've ever
Was it
seen.
like a boarding house or something?
No, it's just like for the
I mean,
two of
that's a
them.
huge place
It's
for two people.
So and it was after the Civil War. So on so many fronts, like what I thought was the little local history of this immediate.
Did you get into this street? I couldn't pick
A
out.
little bit.
Are any of the houses described on this street?
Not much. It doesn't have as much as it came later. So
Okay.
like this house was built in 1900.
Well,
So it's old, but it's not like the stuff historical people get all excited about. It's
Right.
not like the 1700s.
it's just old. It's not an antique.
Right. But yeah, it's been a really fun book, and looking forward to taking some walks. I want to go see the house Collins built for himself and his family.
Where was it?
I can't remember exactly. It's got to be within a few blocks of here, though.
Wow.
But it looks like a cool house. But
Yeah.
it's definitely going to inspire some walks, some directions or
That's,
walks.
I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, for those that don't know what we're talking about, Dad gave us a book last week, or let us borrow a book that's
Well,
all
give
about.
Kyle the real credit.
That's
He gave it to
Yeah,
you.
That was your Christmas present. One of your
Oh,
Christmas
you gave it to me, and then I gave it to you. But he's the one that bought it.
it's very cool.
Where'd you get it?
It's all about this neighborhood and this
the
town.
Green Valley Book Fair.
Where?
It's heading towards Harrisonburg. There's this
Green
big,
Valley
Oh,
Book Fair.
Green Valley.
You
yeah.
know all about
Oh,
that.
yeah. I used to go there all the time. I was a regular.
It's so cool they still do
I
that.
could spend $100 there and have books for a year.
What a fun thing that is.
That was wonderful.
It's so cool that they still do that. Is
I
it still
know.
the same? Just like buildings and buildings full
It's
of...
going to be. It's still wonderful. I go out there some Saturday or Sunday. Oh, it's not open on Sundays anymore.
Was it year round?
It is now. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So it's
I've
sort of the
got too many
fun.
books, so
It's the fun of rushing out there on that weekend is gone. And then they have like wrapping paper and gift cards, and it's more like a little
Oh, yeah.
store type thing now. But it's still, every time I take somebody out there, they're like, "Oh my God, meet me in 3 hours at the registry."
yeah, it's a great place.
Dana is watching,
Oh, good. Hi, Dana.
Hey, Dana.
and your earlier conversation prompted requests for "Do you believe in ghosts?"
Plain as day
Oh,
would be just...
yeah.
I think I've already done Do You Believe in Ghosts? Haven't I? I think it was one of the first songs I played on Jabber John. I've written too
Well,
many
that
to
was
repeat.
another. I was thinking about the ways to improve the show. And one way is, well, I've told you the one earlier, but this one is that I think you need to play a song earlier. Because, see, when I watch it, I rewatch it, but I get tired after a while. I don't watch the whole thing. So I never get to you singing the song.
You can fast forward these things.
Yeah,
I know, it's a lot.
I just
It's a
say
long thing.
I just stop them and say I'm coming back, and I never do. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times.
See, when I was over there, it was a little bit easier because I could have the guitar plugged in and singing into a real mic and stuff. I could make sure the music sounded good. With us all over here, it would all just be coming through this, and I'm not as confident that it would sound good.
Well,
So I'd have to do a
You'll
whole
have to do-
separate
you have
setup
to-
or something.
yeah. Well, I don't think you ought to worry about it. I don't think.
Whether it sounds good
I
or
don't
not.
think you sound bad on your worst day.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
I mean, and I'm not prejudiced at all.
At all.
The voice going in. People say it sounds like a ghost singing over there. Do you believe in ghosts?
Do you ever believe in any conspiracy theories?
Well, I don't know what all of them are, but I don't think I'm probably not. I'm very analytic about things like that, and I just need data, and I don't listen to far out stuff that. I mean, I'll leave the door open, and won't say it's wrong,
Right.
but I won't fall head over heels in love with it either.
Right.
So usually you can see the holes in things, and
So how about Tom Brady and them deflating the footballs? Do you believe in that?
No, what?
When the Patriots were deflating the footballs?
Oh,
Deflategate.
Yeah.
well, I think he was a little guilty of that, and I do know this. I do agree with the idea that ball has a better grip if it doesn't have quite as much air in it.
Yeah.
We've all known that, and you can feel that. But
When those things are fully pumped up, it's crazy. Feel I can't even hold it. You
Yeah.
get to let a little bit of air out.
But yeah, I that would be one I would just say maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't have the data to have an opinion.
So the people that are responsible for conspiracy theories getting the foothold they get also think of themselves as very analytical.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a very impressive mindset that people, like if you look at whoever wrote the J.F. Kennedy, the famous first conspiracy book about, I mean, they are they spend countless sleepless years or whatever gathering the data to prove their theory, and it's to them they're connecting the dots. That's the
Right.
that's the phrase, and that they're tireless and impressive intellects that are, but at the same time they're weird and they're off, and they got this crazy theory, and they're determined to prove it, but then they use the scientific method to a certain extent to like the we didn't go to the moon. It's all data driven. It's like, but they're just interpreting the data wrong. But the whole reason they feel like they prove that we didn't go to the moon is a whole series of, well, look at this photo, and look at this photo, and notice the shadow of the rock that this rock casts, and in this photo, how could the shadow be going? You know, it's a bunch of that. It's super. It's all backed up by data is the thing I thought was sort of fascinating. It's just it's misappropriated or misinterpreted
It's
data.
choosing the data.
Very selectively.
And, you know, both sides can do that.
All sides
you
can
know,
do
when
that.
you say conspiracy theory, that kind of groups you into a category of you're wrong and you're crazy. But really, I don't know why we would do that, because, you know, the people that don't believe in the conspiracy could be wrong and crazy, you know, because most of the people I meet are wrong occasionally, and a lot of them are crazy. So, and that doesn't mean you have to be a conspiracy theorist to do it.
To have those qualities.
You can be a doctor or a lawyer.
Like the JFK, Norman Mailer wrote a book just about Oswald, like this beautiful, like 400-page book, you know, step by step by step, and he believes that Oswald did it. And I was like, yep, that's it. Then I read another book where they supposedly there was the guy, whoever did it, came in, I forget who they said did it, was like in a fake wheelchair, or they were in a wheelchair, but they weren't really paralyzed or crippled or anything. But they had all the rifles and stuff in there, because there was wheelchair tracks leading up to the windows and stuff. And there's supposedly photos and stuff. I'm like, man, it wasn't Oswald, it was some guy in a wheelchair. You know? So I just go back and forth. Read this, it's the truth. All right.
See, I think I'm a lot like you. My problem is I'm extremely gullible and terribly ill-informed. So you give me a book like that, I'm like you. I'm sold until I hear otherwise. Man, the guy in the wheelchair did it.
Well, the thing is, it's a cool feeling to be they just wrap you up in this like world. I mean, it could be complete lies. I mean, they could just be writing it as knowing it's fake, but they can just write it so well. You're like, yes, you know, it's
exciting
it was.
too to be on the ins.
Yeah.
If you believe a conspiracy theory, especially like a fresh current one, like back in the 9/11 days, it's exciting. I mean, you know something no one else does, and you're down in the rabbit hole, and you got other people that are with you, and that smoking gun right here, we finally got the proof that we're right, and it's just I see that in the people today that are believing in all this stuff, that it gives you some purpose.
Now, latest one you're talking about the the football player, that's going to have to come out. That's going to end here one of these days.
That's what I exactly. And what's fascinating is how the world will always seem to play along. Like, let them believe it a little. They're not going to show Damar Hamlin to us yet. I mean, they could have ended this thing yesterday, but with just him tweeting like, "I'm right here." But no, that's not going to happen. Not that
There
is
hadn't
not
been
the way.
any pictures of his face.
Nope.
Really?
Not
I
since.
swear I saw
Well,
him.
I did. He was wearing like a hoodie, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in like a box, but he was wearing a hoodie. No, he wasn't in a box. He was in a
Well, how about the
a
fact
seating
that he
box.
had
They didn't
been?
have him in a box.
How about the fact that he had been to the team and spoke to the players?
Well, that's the thing that got me off of it was I just read an article where the quarterback was like, "This is crazy." He was in the locker room with us. It was
Right.
definitely him. That's our brother.
So unless the whole team,
And so I was like, okay, there it is. And that's all I needed to Google and read to be. But meanwhile, on Twitter, all right, show us his face. Why aren't they showing him?
Well, that's the thing. A good conspiracy can't be proved or disproved. Like, who was Jack the Ripper? Who shot JFK? 9/11. There's nobody.
Did we go to the moon?
Yeah. You can't really go up to somebody and say, like, "Tell me the truth," and they actually know.
well,
the
that's
truth.
what I was saying. This one won't be a
Yeah.
good conspiracy theory because the truth will come out
Right.
eventually,
Right.
unless he dies suddenly.
Right.
No, how
Oh,
about
that was a good one.
no, how about a Bermuda Triangle? Do you believe?
Oh,
in
that's a
that?
good one.
Well, I believe there's some stuff going on down there, like eels being born.
Eels being born.
Yeah, I went to. I was going to go to see a man who spent his whole life studying eels. And I've always been fascinated by eels, and we used to catch them in my backyard. And I was always asking. And my friend Joe and I were going to go, and I couldn't go because wasn't feeling good. But they streamed it, and I was able to watch it over at the Wayne Theater.
Wait a minute, you were eels in the Bermuda Triangle?
Well, the eels all breed in the Sargasso Sea,
Oh wow! I
and the
didn't-
Sargasso Sea is down in that area of
Wow.
the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know if they correspond
Right,
directly, but it's
right.
in that same part. And what you get are different currents
Is there a
meeting
specific
there.
eel we're talking about?
I mean, all eels.
All eels?
Every
I didn't
eel.
know that.
You find an eel in Michigan,
Make a
and
note
you
of that,
can,
please.
because they go up the Mississippi. But the eels go up the Mississippi. The European eels, they have eels. All of them go to and the eels in Middle River.
I was going to say, we can go 10 miles that direction and find an eel.
Yeah, and if you evidently the Thai River has a very healthy supply of eels right now, which is over on the other side of the mountain. But at any rate, all of those eels at some point go back to the Sargasso Sea and have a few weeks of frolicking sex. And well, this is a conspiracy.
Yeah, I was
theory,
going to
and,
say,
yeah,
according to Twitter.
yeah, and that's
Twitch has it all over.
according to this guy that was over there last week, and he makes a lot of
Yeah,
money
no reason to
talking
doubt
to
him.
you. But yeah, that's what the eels do.
No, so, but you're telling us the truth now, right?
I have not told a lie to my knowledge.
But
To my
so
knowledge.
each eel hasn't been there, but they originate from there. You're saying that they all actually go there.
I'm saying that when at the time they live up in there for 10, 20 years, however they live, and one day they said, it's time, I gotta go.
Oh my God!
And they turn around and go all the way back down and go to the Sargasso Sea.
Wow.
I might have it backwards.
Yeah, that sounds backwards.
I think it's backwards. Wait a minute, let me think. Y'all talk about something.
All right, talk amongst
Where
yourselves.
does the baby eels,
All right, while he's figuring that
the
out.
baby eels are born in the Sargasso Sea. But how do they know what river to go to? Because they always go
They're
back.
assigned.
They're assigned. I guess they have imprinted the chemistry of the water. I never have understood how they
That's
find out how to
fascinating.
get back up there.
Do we need to YouTube this, or what do we
You should
need?
write a song about
What
that.
do we need to do?
But,
That'd be a great
you don't have
song.
the young ones up here.
So we
have
told
the
you about
adult-
him putting the carp in the blender, right?
Yeah, I did hear about
Did we
that.
tell you about trying to eat an eel?
Nah.
Oh, I've tried that more than once. I never did figure that out. And there I had sushi right there in my backyard the
See?
whole time. I could have been charging a foot and an arm.
So how did you eat an eel?
It was another gruesome
We tried
story.
I think we just tried to fry it up.
But the thing was, is he didn't know. Well, nobody knew what to do once we caught this eel.
Now, how big
And
was the eel?
Eel was about as tall as I am.
28 inches was the
Gosh.
one, I think, was the record.
And they're swimming in the river?
It was in Middle River.
Oh, God. now I never wanna
Theoretically,
get in the river
they're still
again.
there.
That's right.
Oh,
And I
that's
said,
worse
well,
than
you know, I
ghosts.
don't see any eels there anymore. He said, you know, and then Joe said, well, have you fished for them? And I said, no. So they might still be there. We used to go at night.
That's when you catch them. Dough balls.
It usually involved brown liquid and a fire and about 5 guys sitting around fishing for eels.
It's exciting. When you get one of those on, they will fight. They are strong. They are super strong.
Oh, they were amazing. They undulate.
Gross.
I mean, how many things undulate when you get right
Oh,
down
When
to
you
it?
get right down to it.
And how often do you get to say that word?
Right.
I got to say undulate tonight. It's a good night.
So we
Oh,
didn't
guess
know, we
what
didn't know how to skin it. Wait, where were you going?
Like, how big around
Finish
is
the
it?
eel and then ask me.
How big around is it?
I'd say like
A good
Yeah.
one, size one's about like that.
Wait a minute. So, like, if I go in an inner tube floating down the river, those things are swimming around?
they're in there.
Oh.
I don't know. with
And you know
climate
what?
change,
They're not going to bother you. They're hiding all day. And
you
they
never
feed
know
at night.
that. You never know they were in
You
there
would
ever.
I never saw one all the years we were out there.
All the
I
fishing
never
you did.
saw one. They crawl up under the bank. They can,
And they're
get up
huge
under
to
the
be
rock.
invisible.
yeah, but you never saw them, and they never attacked you or anything.
I feel like I'm going to faint. I'm getting lightheaded hearing these stories.
Well, I'll tell you what. Try to get one off the hook.
Mm.
You talk about slippery. Ew, they were hard.
And, you know, with a fish, you know, I mean, it's a little brutal, but it's not that bad. When you catch it, you get the hook out, and then you have to kill it by hitting its head on the rock or something, and you scale it. It's a little brutal, but it's not so bad. So we get the eel up, and we're like, all right. So you hit its head, nothing. Hit its head, nothing. Like,
It's like
how are
a-
we
It
gonna?
was like a turtle. They don't die.
All right, so if you're a
Midnight.
vegetarian or squeamish, you might want to tune out for just a second. We'll continue with a regularly scheduled broadcast in about 3 minutes. But until that 3 minutes,
Here's another animated video by Nathan.
so I guess it was Dad's idea. He nailed its head to a tree.
Oh, my God.
It was nailed because we were you have to skin it, pull the skin down. So we're like, well, let's just nail its head into the tree, and then we'll just pull the skin down. Well, after like an hour being up there, we still couldn't hold that
So
thing
why'd you have to
against the
skin
tree.
it right there? You were going to eat it right there?
Do you remember that?
Well, we were going to cut it into pieces and freeze it to eat later.
Do you
That
remember
was
the
my
tree
idea.
part?
I vaguely, but I can't imagine doing that to a live one. I was thinking,
The thing I can't forget is that we still couldn't like hold it again. Like it was still
I don't think
too
we actually
strong.
did it. We tried to do it. I don't think we ever, did you ever? I don't have any memory of us actually succeeding and doing it. I think that was a good idea.
Why don't you just cut it in half or something? Or cut its head off? That's the most valuable part, the most delicious
That's
part.
a good question.
That was the only part you could hold.
All right. Well,
You
my
couldn't-
memory
you
is
couldn't- you
obviously
couldn't-
very foggy on this
Yeah,
situation.
mine too. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would verify. it
Wow.
for
I
us.
just know it was another failed attempt to eat the nature out there.
God. So this poor. all the weird
If
shit.
we had to live off the land, I don't know. That'd be a whole show in and of itself.
So,
Just like
here's this poor eel. He grows up a baby, seeing planes disappear in the Bermuda Triangle and all this stuff. He comes back, gets his head nailed to a tree out in the middle of nowhere. What has I done with my life? Ah.
why did they
not
assign
even-
me to Middle River?
I'm not even dead. They're skinning me alive. I can't believe it.
You are really empathizing with the eel
Yeah,
on
that's
this.
good. He's
No,
good
I
like
think
that.
that's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. Do
So-
you remember what you were about to say?
I don't think that I was so proud of myself this morning, and this does not necessarily have anything to do with eels, but I was sitting upstairs thinking, I'm having trouble eating because of my problems with my body, and so I'm careful about eating at all, but food doesn't mean much to me anymore. I said, what would I really like to have? And I decided, and I had been thinking about this for a while because I had one in the refrigerator. I had a Danny Morris brown trout. Oh, yeah. And I had a half of a baked potato. I went downstairs at 6:15 and cut that potato up and put him in the olive oil and got that trout out of the refrigerator and rolled him in cornmeal and flour and put him on there with those potatoes and cooked them all together. And I had a trout and home fries for breakfast. this
Nice. You
morning.
have some soft bread with butter on it?
I had lightly toasted bread, one with butter and one with apple butter that a beautiful woman gave
He
me.
started his day off right.
Wow.
So I had a Danny Morris trout and a beautiful woman's apple butter, and I was happy as a bird.
Sun wasn't even up, and you were already good to go.
Yep,
Wow.
that was
That's inspiring.
so. That was what I was going to say. I was going to brag, and I just did.
Hamlin is in the
All right, so should we? I'll let this go, but I was wondering, you might be able to find it on the Twitter there. I'll just show Dad. We can just watch his reaction. So this is all the footage from the game, from Damar Hamlin's appearance at the football game the other day, and this is why. Oh, did it stop?
Yeah.
You might be able to show this. Oh, wait.
Yes, if they show him in the stadium in any capacity, it will blow the doors off of this place. Damar Hamlin just showed up, and it looks like his mom and his little brother is there. Oh, we love to
So
see
the
it.
little brother's in on it.
He's in on it.
Son of a gun.
That's what makes conspiracy theory so great, is how, for it to be true, there has to be so many people involved. That's where it gets so interesting. Maybe search it on Twitter. But do you see how every shot they have of him is a little surreal? Like it's almost done to. Seems like a lot of things are done to keep the conspiracy theories going, and like there is some reason why they won't just stop the
I
conspiracy
swear I
theory.
thought I saw him that day.
Damar stood up, right? Yeah, he did. This is it right here. What a scene. Oh,
So that woman said he had a big smile on his face.
it's a sign. What a beautiful, triumphant story that galvanized this entire nation.
Now, who started the thing that he died
Did
from
you
the?
see it?
Oh,
You
yeah.
see what they're saying?
Oh yeah.
Who originally came up with that he died because of the COVID
The
shot?
fact is, the whole thing is based on the idea he wore a hoodie, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He probably didn't want to be seen.
Right. Right.
Damar Hamlin just showed up, and it looks like his mom and his little brother is there. Oh, we love to see it. Stay tuned. It's the Bengals, Bills, coming up on CBS. Good job.
No dice.
No, how about the Elvis Elvis conspiracy, he's still alive.
That was a good one.
Did you believe that at all?
I definitely remember entertaining that a long time ago. But I guess that's been the case for a lot of them. Jim Morrison, the idea they just decided that fame was too much for them and they would just fake their own deaths or whatever, and they're actually living on some tropical island somewhere, and that's
Gosh, I've got
Prince, Michael Jackson,
I've
Elvis.
got a story, but I don't know if I can tell it because somebody that knows. I gotta keep it.
Oh, come on! That's why we're here. It's for you to tell that story right there.
I'll tell you when the cameras aren't on.
Oh my gosh!
This involves somebody local, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
You could change the names.
I'm trying to think, but it's a pretty well-known story, so I don't want to risk waking up with a shotgun in my face.
Nah, we don't want to go there.
So, I mean, without naming any names or talking any specifics, there is a local scandal that's going on now involving a story that's in the News Leader and stuff like that. And let me just ask you this, and we won't talk about the actual story at all, but do you think the News Leader has a responsibility that they're not being true to in terms of covering the story?
I felt like that they took advantage of that bit of news to put it on the front page was to sell papers, and it really wasn't effectively enough of a story to be on the front page, at least at this point. Because when you charge someone, a lot of people just assume the worst and go on and don't even pay attention to whatever happens afterwards.
Right.
In other words, a lot of damage has already been done, and that damage would not have been done if they hadn't put it on the front page. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have reported it at all, but I'm thinking
it's more of the placement on the front page.
It was how they did it.
Tabloidy.
I thought it was tabloidy, yeah. And I've seen them. I think all newspapers do it to some extent,
Right.
and to some extent you have to. I think some papers, the small papers, feel like they need to do it to get people to read them, and there might be some truth to that.
Right.
So I'm sure there are people that went and bought that paper just because of that article.
Yeah, I guess it's two different things, whether you consider the paper a local public service or a private local business. To like, as a public service, they're probably doing a public disservice. But
well,
then as a
I've written to that paper before. Like, I remember one time, and I won't name any names, but when a young friend of mine died, and it was probably an overdose of a drug overdose. But it was just the way they described it. It was just like, this is. They went after the idea that he died from a drug overdose, and that was what it was about, and that seemed to be the emphasis. When this was a young man in our community, and he was the son of a family that I knew and cared about, and I cared about him, and it just seemed like they didn't have any responsibility to those families to treat him like a person instead of a statistic.
right.
And so
I think
this fits into that category of worrying about what's going to happen when you publish that. And it's the fact that you put it on the front page instead of not hiding it, but putting it where it belongs.
Right.
Because nothing's been proven.
Right. There's a section for that kind of thing, like crime, police.
Yeah. So, and I think a newspaper should be responsible in that way to the community that they serve, and so. And usually,
Hear.
and usually they are, but and I might be wrong because but there you go. We'll see.
It is the kind of stuff that sells papers.
Yeah, exactly. But
And I mean, it's good local gossip. I mean, I'm sure the water coolers are blowing up all over town
oh yeah,
with conjecture.
yeah, there's no doubt about that.
In fact, the people watching right now are dying to know what we're talking about.
I know. I'm sitting here.
Do you know what we're talking about?
No.
Oh, Kyle doesn't even know what we're talking about. Sorry. I thought y'all might have gotten caught up. All right, next topic.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to talk about that.
No, I was more curious about talking about it from a journalistic responsibility angle than the actual local tea. It was just a good example of that.
Well, I handled that part.
Yeah.
You did real good. Nobody has any idea what y'all were talking about.
But you're going to find out.
No.
You're going to dig it out
I'll be-
now.
I'm
So
gonna
we're part of the problem.
No, well,
stop on the way home.
If
some of
more
these
than 10
trash by
people
today's
watch-
paper. What is it? What is it?
If more than 10 people watched, we'd be part of the problem. Then.
right,
I'd be complaining about myself.
right.
Well,
And that was today's paper.
It was one of these days.
there was a big sale about 11 o'clock the other night. They sold all the papers. People were running downtown trying to get a paper.
I was just reading Ed Gein, the guy that, talking about skinning people, the guy that unburied the women and skinned them and all that stuff, made the mask out of them.
Ooh.
He nailed their heads to a tree.
It was back in the 50s. His mother was like really dominating.
Well, that
And-
explains everything.
But there was a bunch of history about it. But the guy Ed Block wrote the book Psycho, which Alfred Hitchcock made the movie out of, and it was based on this Ed Gein guy. And
Ed Gein was before Psycho?
yes, the book's based on him.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So Hitchcock wanted the movie. It's sort of like what y'all were talking about. I mean, I wish I'd been allowed to see all this stuff, but he had a thing where you couldn't come into the movie after it started, and he would have signs up at every theater like, once this movie starts, if you don't see it from beginning to end, you can't come in. We don't care who you are. If you're not here when the movie starts, you can't come in. But then also, he didn't want anybody to know what the movie was, how it was going to end or something. So he would send, any place the movie was playing, he would send like a team to buy all the copies of the Psycho book. So like you couldn't.
What?
So yeah, so he wanted to keep the movie like a total, as big time, as big as a blockbuster as you could possibly be. So they said there would be like, he'd hire like 5 or 10, local dudes, probably bookies and stuff, people you would have known, to go out and buy all the copies of the books. I don't know if he destroyed them or, took them back for his money back after the movie showed. I don't know. But I was like, man, that was a lot of thinking to go on.
There's a lot of good stories like that of how movies were promoted back in the day, especially like sci-fi or horror movies.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had so many interesting gimmicks for getting
Yeah.
people in there. P.T. Barnum type stuff, hype, and mystery surrounding it.
And somebody bought, when they dug up all these bones and stuff in his yard, they auctioned off everything, and some low budget sideshow circus guy bought the car that he supposedly transported all the bodies in, and he would take it to like state fairs and stuff, and you could pay a quarter to sit in the car.
Oh my goodness!
And then people were like, "Oh, we can't have this anymore." So they made him stop doing it, but they don't know what actually ever happened to the car.
Trippy. I just want to give a shout out and let you guys know we are seeing your chats. Hey, Dana. Wendy, welcome to the show. Platt Zap, very good to see you. How you been doing? And Swaby, always good to see you. Welcome to the show. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to throw into the conversation, you're here with us, and as you can tell, we could use all the help we could get. So.
Well,
If you have a copy of Psycho, I'm paying good money for. So let me know.
Hard to come by. Somebody out there has got 1 million copies of it.
wow. It's very educational.
But even like back then, well, they said that was the very first movie that a toilet being flushed was ever shown, and people, people were having like an outrage about that. The shower scene and all that. People were just like, "Oh my God, we get to see a toilet flush." They never. It was just. I guess if you've never seen something before, then to see it on TV, it's like it's so different.
Well, I still have that sound when he
Oh, I know.
that that sound just makes me sick.
Yeah.
That movie was not good for my soul.
Did you see it in the
Oh,
theater?
Yeah.
At the time?
Oh yeah, I got in on time. Yeah, I wouldn't miss it. I did not like that movie at all.
He showed up in his blazer and his white turtleneck. I want time.
Let's do this.
But that's one of my pet peeves about where we are right now with our entertainment world is that if you can't watch television, if you start flipping channels, every third channel, some of them are dedicated 24 hours a day to showing you real life crime,
Right.
murder things, to the point where you can always see some husband killing his wife and leaving her. You got to believe after a while that all men are going to kill their wives, and it's just so distorted. The entertainment industry in general and television in particular, the shows, it just keeps on going and going, and the percentages are just not there.
If you just look in your lifetime, what happened to television, it's pretty astounding.
Oh,
you think
my
about
gosh.
the wholesome programming of your youth with all your Leave It to Beavers and
you think of it,
Waltons
I was thinking about that day. We had three networks.
3 channels. Yep.
And
they're all beholden to the community. They didn't want to offend
and
anybody.
they were not offending anybody. They would shoot people occasionally. Well, they shot a lot of people.
They shot a lot.
Oh.
Of
They
people.
did
You
shoot
got to
a
admit.
lot. Yeah.
On the shows. I thought you meant the channels would shoot people every once in a while. One more word of complaint from you and you're dead.
No.
Or like Gunsmoke or
Yeah, Gunsmoke.
the Rifleman, they would
Yeah,
shoot somebody.
that's what I meant. Western.
Those are classics.
Then,
That was wholesome entertainment back in the day. We all our American fetish love for guns.
love the gun.
Yeah,
It's really remarkable to watch. I mean, I've said this before, but I watch what is it? The mysteries from blank murders.
Midsummer.
Midsummer Murders, yes. And they'll kill 5 or 6 people, but they'll never shoot them.
I was just watching that before I came over here. I thought I was the only person that watched that.
They shoot.
Oh, it's British.
It's the British.
Yeah, they don't have guns.
Yeah, they don't shoot.
Sticks.
But
and
they
stuff.
kill people
Pots
5
and
different
pans,
ways.
Right.
Yeah, they'll put they'll have something fall on
I
them.
wonder what the most common way to kill somebody in England is.
Shoot 'em.
Statistically.
No, I don't know. That's a good question.
It's got to be.
You know anybody from England?
No.
I bet they know.
Not that I know.
It's like soccer hooligans beating you to death.
Right.
Isn't it?
You just get tapped to death, flicked,
I don't know.
poked.
But they're very creative
Oh, yeah.
in the way they kill you. Poison probably. Be it.
Poison.
Oh, yeah.
It is fascinating as you look back through it how violence was always wholesome entertainment, but sex was completely taboo. Like violence was treated as it's just part of life. Sex, on the other hand, not a part of life.
Right.
Not a part of life.
Yep.
You might have to shoot somebody. That's completely understandable, but don't be bringing your sex stuff around.
No.
Like even like half of the shows from your childhood, which were sort of wholesome entertainment, were riflemen,
Right.
Gunsmoke. Yada. It's that is a very interesting, I guess, puritanical part of our culture. We're so afraid of sex and so in love with violence.
Yeah.
Well, didn't I Love Lucy? They slept in same bedroom, but they had separate beds.
Oh, they all had twin
They didn't
beds.
want to be in the same
Yeah,
bed
oh,
together.
Oh no, you couldn't get in the same bed together.
I'm sure there was like a toilet flushing. There was this scandalous moment where the first time they showed a husband and wife in the same bed together was probably in the 70s or something, and was super scandalous at the time.
But was that realistic? Did people sleep? Did husband and wife sleep in separate beds back then?
Occasionally they had twin beds, but not normally.
So people were watching that just laughing to themselves, like, what?
Well, I mean, there was a common thing of the twin beds wasn't that rare.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it was accepted, but I don't think it was the norm. But yeah, it bothers me. You know, like, here's another aspect of that, these horror movies. That are just horrible things about gross ways of killing people and disfiguring them. And they show it between commercials of Jeopardy. You know, and I'm sitting here innocently trying to answer a question, and all of a sudden I'm seeing a face melt in front of and I can't get that out of my head.
Scarred.
And they made me see that. And I'm serious about this with children. That's wrong. They should not be doing that. And then what do I sound like? I sound like a censor.
Right.
I sound like an old. I
That's
sound like
a
an
tough
old
one.
fogey.
Right.
And I am. God damn.
You are an old fogey.
I'm an old fogey.
Yeah, it happens.
So,
I'm becoming one too, Dad.
oh God.
That should
Does
freak
it
you out
happen?
even more.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I just thought it was a conspiracy theory whenever people say Mr. Moore's becoming an old fogey. I was like, that's conspiracy.
Yeah,
Connect the dots, man. Just connect the
Yeah,
dots. Follow the science.
Not my son.
Do your own
My
research.
son was crazy, a loon. He was out there playing music and doing drugs out west. He wouldn't become an old fogey.
Dum dum.
I never thought I would be an old fogey. I'm gonna end it.
Just to cheer you up a little bit on the horror movie front, I think it's healthy to know that the people that love horror movies sort of consider them comedies in a way, and there's this whole like niche culture, horror fans. For them, and it's unfortunate for us because they've been engaged in one-upmanship for the last 30 years. Like, oh, you killed a person that way? Watch this. Like, here, hold my beer. I'll show you how to. And for true horror fans, they are laughing the whole time. They are not freaking themselves out. They just, to them, it's almost like loving roller coasters when other people are like, how could you love a thing like that? Like, maybe that's not a great analogy, but it is comforting.
I think that's a good analogy.
It is comforting to realize that.
But I would
that's
contend
going
that
on.
those people are not sane.
Yeah, well,
And I am sane, and I'm offended by it.
I hear that. Were you a horror movie fan ever?
I do like horror. I like going to the movies and being scared and stuff, but you know.
You want to be scared though.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not a real fan of like the ones with
The gore.
the clown that comes out. You know, like I like the ones that are like something sort of realistic.
I mean, I just hate the opening scene. There's this cute little innocent girl walking down the street. And immediately I'm projecting, and in about 10 minutes, she's going to have her throat ripped open.
Right.
And she does. And I just hate that. Why does anybody want to see that? I don't get it. I mean, it's not funny. Or it is. I mean, we're all different. We all see
I guess
different
it's sort of the
things.
same thing when we got here and I saw this light. I said we should tell a ghost story. He's like, yeah, you know what? Good. It's just the thing that heightens your senses and
Yeah, it
gets you
gets
looking
your-
around.
well, it's all. So some people would say it's an
Get the rush
adrenaline
from it,
thing.
yeah.
Gets the juices going. If you
Right.
get really scared, and then
Right.
because in the back of your head, you know it's not real,
Right.
and you know you can get up and walk out unless it's an Alfred Hitchcock And then you have to stay for the whole time.
That's right.
Right, they wouldn't let you leave.
They wouldn't let you leave.
I definitely have very vivid memories of very intentionally freaking myself out when I was a kid, when I would be at home alone at night if mom was working or something. I would watch a scary movie knowing I was going to freak myself. I wouldn't intentionally do it. I wasn't like, I'm going to freak myself out. But that's what I was doing. I was definitely, and I would get so convinced that there was, like, I don't know how many nights that there was definitely something outside trying to get into the house. And I would like hide in a closet or grab like an implement, a tool to defend myself or whatever. And a lot of it was because I would watch a scary movie, and I knew from experience that it was going to freak me out, but there was just something about it that I did to myself. So I do have a part of me.
I've often said about myself that I'm afraid of a lot of things. I don't need to create shit to be afraid of.
Right.
So I don't have to watch a scary movie to be afraid.
Right.
I'm afraid when I watch the evening news.
Right. I remember when Blair Witch Project, I don't know if y'all have seen that movie.
Yeah.
When that first came out, we didn't really know what it was about. And we went, my wife's like, oh, it's going to be scary. And she took a blanket and was like sitting in the blanket all wrapped up in it and covering her head and stuff.
Who was it?
My ex-wife, she was like, she knew we just knew it was going to be scary. So when we were leaving.
So she brought her little blankie.
She brought like a big, bed blanket. She was all wrapped up in it. But so they were walking out, and I'm just like, oh man, that was good. And I was unlocking the door, and she just like all of a sudden I feel a punch to the side of my neck. Like, what in the world? You made me go see that movie. She was like pissed at me, hit me like as hard as she could in the side of the neck here. I was like, God, I thought you wanted to go see it. I can't believe you made me go see that. And she was like scared for the longest time.
Yeah.
Really
And then
deeply affected her.
Her sister worked at a publisher in Richmond, and they published the Blair Witch book. And she said that when they sent it to them, they told them it was real. They didn't say, like, we're making this book, this is all fake. They sent them, like, bloody, like, rags and broken sticks and stuff, and they took pictures of it and stuff. So my ex-wife was asking her sister, is it real? And she's like, I don't think so, but they're trying to convince us it is real. Like, they're not at all saying this is, a movie. This is a documentary. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, my wife. It was like the Alfred Hitchcock. She was scared.
Do you know what he's talking about? The Blair Witch?
I did not. I remember it.
The
but
thing that made it novel.
I didn't go see it.
The thing that made it novel at the time, and no movie had ever been made like this, but they sold it like they found this old footage from someone's camcorder. And it was these people that went like camping or something, and then they were attacked by a ghost or something. So, but all the footage is just like from a handheld camcorder, like we used to have.
I remember that, but I didn't.
So you're watching it, and it was the first movie that had ever done that, where you're just like, oh my God,
And it was
like,
scary.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go.
Yeah.
But it was one of those ones where you're just like, you're sitting in your seat, like, oh, you just know something's going to happen.
I think Psycho was the last scary movie.
You're like, all right, I'm good.
I'm cured of
I'm
that.
good. Right.
I don't need
That's all
to
I
do
need.
that. Yeah.
Now, what was Orson Welles, the War of the Worlds or whatever, the radio show?
Oh, yeah.
People thought that was real, that Martians were coming in.
Yeah.
And,
I can see how that could happen
yeah.
because those are the same. Well, yeah. That's another conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm. He loved that. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure most people know this story, but Orson Welles, one of the first things he ever did was working in radio before he made any movies, and they did a teleplay on the radio of the War of the Worlds, where the Earth
Wells?
is. Yeah, right. H.G. Wells, where the Earth is invaded by aliens from outer space, but when they did it on the radio, they did it all like, all right, we're going live now to the scene here. We got a reporter. They were acting it out as if it was all happening.
And they had no commercials.
And then no commercials. And I think they maybe said a little thing at the beginning, like this is just a dramatization. But people all over America were like loading up their cars and like heading to the woods or whatever. Like people thought that game on,
Yeah, something
that
like
we
2 or
were
3
being
people
invaded.
died, didn't they?
And Orson Welles, of course, knew that he was doing that, and it was the whole point of it. And delighted, he was in a young 20-something going, "This is the greatest day of my life."
Oh my God.
You gotta appreciate that on some level. It's like if somebody did that today, it would be such a horrible thing. But it's pretty funny that he did that.
Well, just imagine if you were just looking like, imagine you were doing Nathan's Land one night, and all of a sudden your screen just came up, national news breaking out, some weird thing. You'd be like, is this real or not? You'd be trying to like look on another site. You'd be like, what in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Man.
I'm definitely daydreaming about that, being live on my stream when, the Russia launches ICBMs at us or something.
Oh, wow.
Like what would I would probably keep broadcast. I would consider it my broadcasting duty
Right.
to Google for my people. Here, let me Google that for you. Speaking of which, whoever's in charge of the midnight clock, you hear about this? They turned we're 90 seconds to midnight now from the end of the world. Do you know about the doomsday clock?
No,
You don't know about the doomsday clock?
I don't think so.
It was established in 47, I believe, when it was, I think, originally set at 11 minutes to midnight, and midnight being doomsday, the end of civilization. And
Wait a minute, the year 47 or 1947?
1947,
Okay.
was when the doomsday clock was invented, which I don't know the whole history of that. I don't know what scientists are in charge of it. But 2 days ago, they moved it the closest it's ever been to midnight. We are now,
Wow.
according to the doomsday clock, 90 seconds from midnight.
What?
Well, what does 90 seconds mean?
Well, it just means that they said because of climate change and because of World War III breaking out in Ukraine, we're now closer to annihilation than we've ever been.
Well, I
before.
know, but what is there does a second mean anything?
I don't think it does. I think when they first did it, it was like it seems really arbitrary and interesting. I'm intrigued. I was hoping maybe you knew something about it
No.
because it's definitely a scientific community thing, and it's been going on since 1947.
I'll
But
do some research.
Now, does it go up and back, or is it?
it does go up and back.
Okay.
What do you mean
It-
goes up and
So, like,
down?
It started out at like 11 minutes to midnight, and then I think the furthest it's been was like 19 minutes. Like it's gone both
Why does
directions.
it go back?
Just
Well,
things have
maybe
gotten
like
better.
the war ends, we come up with hydrogen fuel, or so like we solve the problems, we address the issues, and
I guess it's saying the end. There's an end, and we're just the way we act influences how much time we have left.
So we have a minute and a half, huh?
a minute and a half.
It's hard to do much in a minute and a half.
So if you got anything to say it now.
That's right. I love you all.
Yeah. Well, I was born in 1947,
Oh,
so I think what they're really saying is the day I die is doomsday, and that makes sense to me.
I bet that makes
As
total sense
as
to
a
you.
scientist, I believe in
Right,
that.
and as an
I-
individual.
Start your own conspiracies, but I see it as a doomsday thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see dying as a positive experience normally.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if I believed strongly in heaven, I should.
You should.
Heaven would be a lot better than what I'm dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Gout's
You would think.
tough.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Probably better than hell, though.
Now, were you brought up to believe in heaven, or did you have a heavy
Well, of course.
religious?
I'm a Christian.
No, but how about you?
Mm-hmm. Mostly from my mom, more so than, but his parents were very devout.
Very wonderful Christians.
Good,
They
the
gave
good version.
Christianity a good
Yeah,
name.
they were good Christians, inspiring.
Yeah, that's a good thing. But yeah,
Aren't you grateful for that? Not that they were.
yeah, it's a little hard to live up to. I mean, they were perfect, and I was anything but, mostly but.
It's funny, as much as I rebelled against it in my youth, like I'm definitely grateful for the religion of my childhood, like being brought up around all that and in all that is
Well, the whole thing was all good. Of course, the church was good then for them. For my parents, the church was another family, and they did good things all the time for people, and so there was a lot of good there.
Right.
You didn't see the negative impact of somebody trying to make money off of it or using it for other things. But it's all, and it was the way they lived their life, so it was important. So, and it was something you could respect. So it was a good thing.
just to have those thoughts in your young mind is such fertile soil for imagining our magical existence. I mean, it's a lot of magic in that story. Right. It's like, I mean, and that's all the adults in your life, and as a child, you're just like, I mean, just think about it. It's so intense. Like the whole story.
As a 13-year-old, it was important to me because on Sundays the girls would dress up in those cute little dresses, and I got to see them all prettied up.
Were you like an altar boy or anything important?
Oh no, I was the guy up in the balcony. They'd have to go,
quit wiggling,
and I would stop. I wasn't that bad, but I had to usually get a warning.
Was it First Baptist when you were a kid?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The whole way?
All the way. First Baptist is my home church.
They say one of the giant pillars of First Baptist Church is named after Granddad now.
Oh,
he was like a pillar of that church.
Oh,
what was it?
I didn't know that.
Like, I don't know if it's official, but that's the way it was described to me. He's one of those pillars.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
What was it, a deacon? Is that what they called it?
He was a deacon. Yeah. He was the greeter. He would greet everybody, all the new people he'd greet everybody that would come into the church, and he was a true Christian.
Yeah, he was a fun one too. He'd read his Bible every day, and he was always real gentle about just making sure that you're getting yourself right with the Lord. But he was never like, but he was just always reminding you, like, well, just don't forget. Very gentle.
I think I was not raised religious at all, but like the older you get, it just heaven and stuff seems like a good idea. But people are always like, your idea of heaven is so skewed. Because like people are always like, if I go to heaven, I want to see my grandparents. I want to see little Jimmy that passed away. And I'm always like, I can't wait to see my pets. It's like all I want to do is like, all right, everybody stand back. Where's my old pets? Everybody come here. That's all I care about.
Now that's heaven.
Kyle, I'm your grandfather. Out of the way, old man. Come here. Come on. You've been here a long time. You can wait.
Out of the way, old man.
I haven't seen the fitter for 10 years. Come here, man. I love you.
I hate to tell you, but they go to a different heaven.
People, every time one of my pets die, they go to the Rainbow Bridge. Like if I hear that, if Rainbow Bridge one time, if they're not going to be there, just let me hang out on the Rainbow Bridge all my afterlife.
Hey, Silas. Hey, Aaron. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Grandpa, if you are watching up there, I'll get around to you eventually.
April, welcome. Hello there. No questions. Guess we're just slaying all these topics. We're not leaving any ambiguities and no mystery.
We're answering.
Has anybody seen Psycho? Does anybody know what we're talking about with that movie? I hope so. Did you see the remake?
Oh yeah. I'm a bit of a cinephile. I always love movies. but never a big horror movie fan. But I know enough about it to appreciate that culture a little bit.
Right. Are you a fan of animation with your stuff that you did?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how long did that take? So that's like what, 3.5 minutes or?
That one we started the show with, even something that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm taking shortcuts all over the place. Like the way the professionals do it is even more
Right.
intense. It's frame by frame.
And wait, it was shot down here somewhere?
Yeah, actually we had the green screen right over there for my doings. And then the clay musicians are all shot on the workbench here. Stop motion is really fun. That thing's I've shown you that, right?
No.
That's the thing I recently got, but I haven't really. This is a stop motion puppet here, but
Do you have any hobbies? Are you allowed to do anything?
right now it just looks like Terminator. But I have to make clothes for it. So you put the puppet on the outside of it, and
Oh,
then
so
you
that-
tighten up all these joints. But
That's
like
cool.
any stop motion movie you've seen, this is basically what's going on.
Really?
Now, where'd you find that at? Or
I
you
bought
ordered-
it. It was
Oh, that's cool.
my mom's man gave me a eBay gift certificate for my birthday, and this is what I spent it on.
Is that the Terminator
So
right there?
it just looks like the Terminator now, but so you take clay or
my
whatever.
God,
I got a
that's so
sewing machine
cool.
over there. You just create the puppet, and then you just you move it like that. Take a picture, move it like that. Take a picture, and you just do that over and over again. Then when you play, it's like a little flip book. When you play it back, it's moving.
That's
Oh
awesome.
my God, that's so cool.
So, but then once you start doing that,
So when you had like
do
the
the math.
drummer and the violin,
You'll spend all day and get like 10 seconds at the end of it. I mean, you'll work for it's like an hour per second or something almost. The math.
So like,
is-
were you using that when you did that video?
no, those guys were just clay,
Oh, you just bent them a little bit. At a time.
and I would just bend them a little bit at a time. And really, like I took so many shortcuts because if you watch closely, it's like 5 seconds over, like the violin player. It's
Yeah,
just
right.
like the whole video is doing his one move.
The old Warner Brother cartoons with the backgrounds the same the whole time. Oh, that's very cool.
The camera autofocuses on our eyes.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to learn how to sew and everything to get that guy going. It'll probably just be like that for the foreseeable future. So I'm gonna have to make clothes for it and everything, come up with a face. The other night I said that maybe that's why this. I don't know. Maybe that'll be the basis of it.
Bob's Big Boy.
I mean, what sucks for me is like I get into stuff like this, but I'm really. It's like my animations and stuff. I get into it and I get really deep and I make this stuff, but I'm not really. I have no like drawing talent. Terrible drawer. Stuff like this, like creating the wardrobe and crafting this puppet, not my wheelhouse. It's gonna be.
That's the beauty
But
of
but
it.
then it all ends up just having this charm.
Yeah.
Someone drawing outside of their own lines. Whatever that puppet ends up becoming will be unique. I'll be the only one that can make that.
Man.
So get your guitar out and see how it works playing a song over here.
What kind of song?
I don't know.
Aren't you going to do the, what did they request? What were we talking about earlier?
We'll play Plain as day is actually.
I don't know if I can do that on ukulele.
What was the one they requested earlier? We were talking about.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh yeah.
Plain as Day does ask that question we were wondering earlier, whether or not you would tell anybody. I haven't played it in so long though.
Would you tell somebody if you saw a ghost?
Oh, I think my life mission would change. I feel like
No. Would it?
if
Would
I
it
had a
crush you
truly
if they didn't believe
paranormal
you?
experience, I would just become all about it.
Would it make you angry if people didn't believe you?
Mm-mm. I know people. I get it.
So would you want to be on the front page of the Stanton paper? Nathan Morris seen a ghost. Crazy man.
Crazy man.
Local lunatic Nathan Morris claims he's seen a ghost.
Local lunatic.
He doesn't care what you
Where
say.
did that come from? Actually, would you trade me guitars here?
Lunatic just because you said you've seen a ghost, not because you have a Terminator over there.
So on my channel, going up from the bottom, turn the first yellow knob up. That'll give me some reverb.
And I
I think it says FX on it. Put your headphones on, you'll be able to hear it too.
I need a margarita and a bag of chips and a thing of chips while he serenades me over
Yeah,
here.
that's what you do.
Should I get out of your way?
No, you're good.
You're not gonna like Pete Townsend smash it when
You're
I
right.
sit here.
Be careful.
If you saw a UFO, what would you do? What if it appeared only to you? Would you let everybody know? Would you just let it go? What if the alien was a girl? Gave you a message for the world? Would you let everybody know? Would you just let it go? 'Cause what if no one would believe? How would it feel to seem insane? Knowing what you saw, plain as day. What if the voice of God spoke right to you, right out loud? Would you let everybody know? Would you just let it go? What if God gave you the word? Gave you a message for the world? Would you let everybody know? Or would you just let it go? 'Cause what if no one would believe? How would it feel to seem insane? Knowing what you heard, plain as day. If you saw a miracle, what would you do? What if the miracle was you? Would you let everybody know? Or would you just let it go? What if no one would believe? How would it feel to seem insane? Knowing what you are, plain as day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I think we have another verse. What if everybody thinks you're a lunatic? You can make that rhyme somehow. Very good. That's so appropriate.
I know.
Yeah,
What we were discussing.
we have a theme song for this show.
Yeah, that was
I
perfect.
know.
Very good. Very good. I like that. Right on.
Oh, you can take that knob back down. Hey, Gwist. Good to see you. Oh, he says, I dare say that's my favorite NM song.
Wow.
Good timing for tuning in.
It is a classic song.
Andrew says, man, I just got lockdown vibes. Reminds me of watching sunsets, listening to Nathan live, and wondering what was coming next. Crazy. Well, it's good to see you in here. Welcome to the show. We've done an hour and a half.
All right.
That's always our goal,
Yes, sir.
I think. Something like that.
When the glasses come off, you know, that's...
It's when I pull this up and I start putting my coat on it. That's when it gets serious. Yeah, that's great.
So this is all icing. This is all free. Bonus material.
That's right.
You're now in the bonus section of the DVD.
Well, thank you, Catherine.
Now, what is that other picture over there?
That's nothing.
This is a conspiracy theory stuff. What is that other thing? Is that another reality? Don't you worry about that.
It would just be too cryptic if I set it up. But I can show you after we're off air.
I need to get better glasses so I can see what's going on in here. Well, we hit all the hot topics, I think.
Yeah. It was,
Conspiracy theories.
cover all your
eels.
notes. Saragossa.
That's right.
We have a lot of things to Google now after the show. Get to the bottom of this eel theory.
Oh, I'm not. What was the one I've got to do research on? Or something?
Doomsday clock.
Doomsday clock.
I am curious what part of the scientific community contributes to the moving of the doomsday clock, how that came into being.
Huh.
And
Yeah, I don't think I've ever run across that. That's weird.
how about you? Any final thoughts?
Be positive, be safe.
Stay out of horror movies.
That's right. Take a big ass blanket with you when you go to the horror movie.
So she knew she was going to get freaked out. That's why she took the blanket, right?
Oh, yeah, because people, you know, it's one of those ones you're not supposed to tell anybody, you know, what happened. Oh, it's different than other movies. So she knew it was going to be scary. I don't think she wasn't prepared for
It
it.
wasn't your fault. She knew what she was getting into. You didn't trick her.
I think she was riled up.
Sometimes you have to blame somebody.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
He was the only one in the
Yeah, she didn't keep
opening the
hitting
door.
me. She didn't knock me down and just kick me. She just wanted to let me know.
Yeah.
She was
I
disappointed.
don't blame her myself. I've done the same thing.
Garage Band and Beyond. Can you please do some magic for my girlfriend, Marissa? I don't think I have anything magic prepared.
Oh, you have a Magic fan? Who wrote that?
Good to see you. Garage Band and Beyond. Aaron Powell, they're sharing their own personal paranormal stories here in the chat. Our work here is done. This is great. Aaron saw an orb, looks like an orange sun, approached our home and turned north right above. See, I mean, maybe tune in next week.
UFOs.
We'll talk about some UFOs. We've all seen a UFO or two. We definitely have family members that have had personal interactions with unidentified flying objects.
And what are you thinking of there?
Buddy,
I don't remember that.
you don't know any of those stories? He's no longer with us, though, to clarify. I have lots of questions.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, one thing I love just on that topic is how the day and age we live in is so surreal that the government comes out and admits that they've experienced UFOs. They have footage of it. They've released the footage. It's on the New York Times. This isn't tabloid. New York Times has footage of UFOs that the Navy gave them, and everybody's like, oh. Next, whatever, who cares? I mean, that's our collective reaction.
Right.
It was not when for years we were all believe, well, the government won't tell us the truth because there would be panic.
Right.
Well, turns out nobody cares, actually. Who saw that coming? Yeah, whatever.
All those old people that listen
Show
to
us DeMar now.
all those old people that listen to the original War of the Worlds. We're not falling for that shit twice. We're not
Right, exactly. Well, tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel for again, not any answers to any of these questions.
That's right. Good luck, people.
We're happy to just rephrase the questions. And I'll click over.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.